The stock market and the world economy isn't the only thing tanking right now. So is Pete Hegseth. Remember Pete sharing battle plans with a select group of government officials on the unsecured app Signal? That action was so patently in violation of the law that Hegseth should be back on Fox, anchoring the Sunday morning edition of Fox and Friends from Leavenworth, Kansas. But of course, this is the Trump administration, and they do whatever they want and get away with it. Except, what if there was an X factor? What if someone in the system went rogue and actually held Bourbon Street Pete accountable? Well, maybe someone is going to. Hard to imagine. Caroline Leavitt, after all, has said the matter is closed. And when Caroline speaks, people listen. Well, to the sound of buzzing that fills the air whenever she galumphs about whatever drivel she's spouting today. But you keep on keeping on, Caroline. Mean girls everywhere are being inspired by your example of questionable style over any substance whatsoever. But then, of course, the other mean girl, Pam Bondi, spoke. And when it comes to the law, prosecutors listen.
Inadvertently released. And what we should be talking about is it was a very successful mission. Our world is now safer because of that mission. We're not going to comment any further on that. If you want to talk about classified information, talk about what was at Hillary Clinton's home that she was trying to bleach bit.
Talk about two bubbleheads living in a bubble. The only thing these two are good at is spitting out memes like they were a walking magic 8-ball. Because I have news for them. The resistance is growing. Republican representatives in the House joined Democrats to vote down a Johnson rule, forcing him to close the House.
Take down a rule that's rarely done. It's very unfortunate in this case. 96% of House Republicans voted against proxy voting because they believe it's unconstitutional and they agree that it would open a Pandora's box. And so that's what we just saw. Let me just make this clear. That rule being brought down means that we can't have any further action on the floor this week. That means we will not be voting on the SAVE Act for election integrity. We will not be voting on the rogue judges who are attacking President Trump's agenda. We will not be taking down these terrible Biden policies with the CRA votes. All that was just wiped off the table. It's very unfortunate. We'll regroup and come back, and we'll have to do this again.
Mr. Speaker, were you asking for too much? Thank you.
In the Senate, 4 Republicans just joined Democrats to revoke Trump's tariffs against Canada.
The joint resolution's passed.
Mr. President.
Majority Leader.
I ask unanimous consent that with respect to SJ Res 37, the motion to reconsider be considered made and laid upon the table.
And while right now it might look like the House won't follow suit, just wait a couple days. Whirlpool, Stellantis, and Sodexo all announced layoffs today. It's not going to be that hard to find some Republicans to vote against the Canada tariff. And now, today, another act of resistance. Fox News is reporting that the Pentagon's Inspector General has launched an investigation into whether Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth violated department policy by discussing military attack plans in a private Signal chat, following a report by The Atlantic. The probe will examine whether Hegseth improperly discussed operational plans for a U.S. offensive against the Houthis in Yemen, and will also review compliance with classification and records retention requirements. And if you think it's tough deciding which is more shocking, that Fox News is reporting this, or that the Pentagon's Inspector General is actually doing it, then hold on to your hat, because the news is even more shocking. Fox is reporting that the investigation was launched after the top Republican and Democrat on the Senate's Armed Services Committee requested it last week. Yes, that's right. The top Republican on the Senate Armed Services Committee requested the investigation. Pinch harder, you are not dreaming. Roger Wicker, Republican from Mississippi, made the request along with Jack Reed, Democrat from Rhode Island. Who is Roger Wicker? He's a retired Air Force veteran, that's who. And while he never served in a combat position, he did serve as a judge advocate general, so somebody who takes the military law seriously. Wicker sent this notice to the Pentagon IG. This chat was alleged to have included classified information pertaining to sensitive military discussions in Yemen. If true, this reporting raises questions as to the use of classified networks to discuss classified and sensitive information. And from there, things started to proceed, so that today, Pete Hegseth, as Secretary of Defense, received this letter from the Inspector General. It reads, "The purpose of this memorandum is to notify you that we are initiating the subject evaluation. We are conducting this evaluation in response to a March 26, 2025 letter I received from the Chairman and Ranking Member of the Senate Armed Services Committee, requesting that I conduct an inquiry into recent public reporting on the Secretary of Defense's use of an unclassified, commercially available messaging application to discuss information pertaining to military actions in Yemen in March 2025. The objective of this evaluation is to determine the extent to which the Secretary of Defense and other DoD personnel complied with DoD policies and procedures for the use of a commercial messaging application for official business. Additionally, we will review compliance with classification and records retention requirements." Translation: your ass is grass and I'm the lawnmower, dude. You will note that the inquiry will also include records retention, which was the whole purpose of being on Signal, to subvert the requirements for documenting all activity. And the beauty of it is, Trump's too busy golfing to do anything about it. It's important to note that this is the acting Inspector General. The original Inspector General was fired. Now, how much do you want to bet that a permanent Inspector General is going to be appointed very soon? I'm Anthony Vincent Gallo for Occupy Democrats.